Joining us now, Marco Mendicino, former Chief of Staff to Prime Minister Mark Carney and now Senior Counsel at Castle's Law Firm. Nice to see you today.
Thank you.
What do you make of the charges, and do you think they will stick?
I do, and I think it represents the opening chapters of what will be an historic proceeding. The events of the last 48 hours have been nothing short of breathtaking. We've seen an American capture a de facto leader from a Latin American country. It was reported with great detail, and there's certainly going to be a lot of political debate about it. But I think one of the most important points for your viewers to know is that the moment that Maduro was transferred from the custody of the military to the justice system, that is where the rule of law has now definitively taken over. And of course, his fate will be decided in a courtroom.
And when that courtroom does hear this trial, it will be a jury that hears it. How long do you expect this to play out, and what will that look like?
Well, you allude to one of the many safeguards and the trappings of having a fair trial. So among the rights that Mr. Maduro will have, he has right to counsel. He has a right to know of the charges which are in the indictment. And as you know, he's been charged with some very serious crimes, including narco-terrorism and deliberately exporting narcotics to the United States, contrary to their national interest, maliciously using the resources of the Venezuelan government to achieve those goals. Those are the allegations in the indictment. And on the other side of that, he faces very stiff jeopardy. So if convicted, he could face up to a life sentence, which in the eyes of many would be appropriate given his abhorrent track record when it comes to human rights.
One would assume that if he was indicted on these charges, and this indictment was initially drafted in 2020, that there would be significant evidence against him, that he wasn't just a leader that kept this at arm's length. Do you have any insight on what this case actually looks like?
Well, that will be up to the state prosecutor and the federal prosecutors in the United States to showcase. So they will have to lead evidence of the conspiracy to import narcotics into the United States. I think we can also anticipate that Mr. Maduro will advance at least three defenses. One is that he should be granted immunity on the basis that he's a head of state. Two, that he should not continue to be facing these criminal charges because of the manner in which he was arrested, and there's been a lot of debate about that. And three, that he continues to assert that the way in which this proceeding is going to carry out should be nullified because of the political purposes which informed this arrest. Now, I think that he will find a very, very steep uphill battle in making these arguments successfully, in large part because of the Noriega precedent. And again, for the benefit of your viewers, Manuel Noriega was taken under similar circumstances over 30 years ago and was not able to persuade the court to apply immunity because, again, the United States did not officially recognize Noriega. They never officially recognized Maduro. They found that in the circumstances of Noriega's arrest, that it was adjacent to and largely a political issue that needed to be resolved in that arena as opposed to the courtroom. And when it comes to the manner in which he was arrested and political purposes that may have influenced the arrest, again, they found there that it's a very high bar. So I think Mr. Maduro faces a very steep uphill battle.
There is a chill settling in across Latin America, whose leaders that may also have drug trade in their countries may fear a similar intervention by the Trump administration. Do you think that those are legitimate concerns?
Well, again, I think this is all going to be part of the debate around the way in which this arrest was carried out. And I think for our purposes here in Canada, what's important is that Mr. Maduro has now been placed in the hands of the justice system. And why do we say that? Because we're a country that believes in the rule of law. And we've started to see the rule of law applied today. Mr. Maduro was taken into a courtroom where he was given the first opportunity to avail himself of counsel. If he chooses not to have a counsel appointed, the court may very well appoint itself an amicus curiae, a friend of the court who can help Mr. Maduro navigate the legal system. And so those types of hallmarks, I think, should reassure that we are seeing the rule of law applied.
Sure, but if you could put on your political hat just for a second, if I may, since you do wear both at times. Should the leaders of other Latin American countries be worried? Colombia, for example.
Well, they've begun to express some concerns about some of the rhetoric that has come out in the aftermath of this arrest. And I do think that it is important that diplomatically and politically that Canada maintains a responsible posture, given all of the important relationships that we have with the United States. I guess for the purposes of this criminal proceeding, however, it will be up to the judges to keep as much of the politics out of the courtroom as possible. And the way in which it can do that is by applying the rule of law.
Marco Mendicino, former Chief of Staff to Prime Minister Mark Carney and now Senior Counsel at Castle's Law Firm. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.